Hey, Rick,
Hey Scott, how are you?
we're the first two again.
Yeah, early birds.
Must be a thing. Oh, that's the view from inside the arch.
Yeah.
I love that place. It's a shame they just got it finished and, you know, before anybody had a chance to. I wonder what their summer would have been like if they would
Oh
have
yeah.
been open. It would have been crazy. They probably had multiple millions of visitors.
It looks great. I was lucky to get down there and shoot this before it all closed down.
Yeah.
Just it really opens up the downtown in a way
Yep.
that when it was cut off by the freeway you didn't have.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. When when they did the play that Ed Asner came and did.
Yeah.
The other actors who were actually, actors and, well-known actors in their own right. They'd been on a number of, television series, that type of thing, NYPD Blue and stuff like that. The three other actors actually wanted to tour, and Mr. Asner was kind of down for the day. So that's where we took them.
Oh, I didn't remember
And
that.
yeah, and we took them down there, and they got the biggest kick out of, being able to go through there. They were able to go through the museum. We got a little special treatment from the curator folks and showing them around a little bit. And I
Yeah.
think they really had a good time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Or to those of you who are, oh gosh, I have to change my name. Does anybody watch Campfires and Color Wars?
I don't, but I did because Barb was on. That was
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Which is why my name is incorrect on this. I'm now going to change, but I have to figure out how to do that permanently.
I was going to blame you for I was up late because I actually saw it after the fact, and I got a little engaged with it.
It is totally fascinating. I got to figure out how I change that permanently. Anyway.
Go to your Zoom profile on your online account.
Yeah.
That should do it.
Profile.
She would seem like she was controlling that wit of hers, though. Tell her on the next time to like just say whatever's on her mind.
She was. I was like, I've never seen you that like thrown off and nervous. She's like, you don't understand how difficult it is to do all of that at once. And like, yeah. All right, there we go. There.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is 10:02, our semi-official starting time. Good to see all of you this morning. We've got a few things to go over. We'll open the floor for some updates. Hopefully, if available, David will be on to give us some insight as to what is going on governmentally as usual. He is scheduled to be here, so hopefully he'll pop in soon. I think Brian is texting him now. And unless anyone has any specific questions for me, I will turn it over to Brian.
It's one of those times Karen is out for the week. I'm trying to text David. I only have his email, so I'm just gonna.
I'll text him. I got his cell number.
I should. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I guess we'll see if David can get here. There's obviously a lot going on in the world. I actually got an update from him earlier in the week. I could certainly use that if we don't find that we're getting him at all. But so we'll get him on when we can for some updates. I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. We have just a couple of things that are on the formal agenda, and then, as always, if there are things that people want to discuss and talk about, we are happy to. I wanted to give Miriam a minute or two. It's been a while since we've done a little more of a deep dive into some of the direct service stuff that is going on, both in terms of food and mental health, but also some other areas that JFS is working in the community with schools and around mental health and with children. And so I just wanted to give her a minute or two to talk so that people know what's going on and can get a sense of how things are progressing right now.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Through just normal conversations that we're having with different organizations, and I'm not going to be specific, so feel free to jump in if any of you want to reveal yourselves, but we're getting a lot of requests for presentations, both for staff and for children at day schools, and we're going to venture into the community workshop arena too. So our manager of community services and our clinical director together have been developing these community presentations, starting with helping parents to prepare for this school year. They were good for I shouldn't say good, for the 3 or 4 months when it all hit in the spring. But now going into a prolonged period of being home with kids or needing to do jobs and support their kids in their education, and they want to do all of that really well. There are a lot of stresses, as you know, regardless of what age your children are, whether they're 1-year-olds or whether they're 8-year-olds or 15-year-olds for that matter. And so we're going to do a community workshop next week on that, and I can send you all some information. Some of you will be getting it. We're also customizing workshops. We're getting a lot of requests for things that are going on in people's workplaces. So we have 3 workplace workshops in the works, all about different things. I know that's a tongue twister. And so if there are issues going on for your staff, whether it's personal stuff or it's interpersonal at work because of the stresses that are arising. Each of the organizations is dealing with a slightly different thing, but they're all stemming from the same thing. So we want people to feel like work is a safe place, but also to be able to do their work for all of us. And then in addition, we started, thanks to Mirowitz, starting this conversation. So if Cheryl's on the call or whatever, thanks to the conversation with them, we've developed a workshop that can be used in any school, whether it's just with a select group of kids or with the entire school. Each school is kind of doing it differently to help them develop more resiliency and more coping skills for the kinds of things that are just normatively coming up in people's lives because of the epidemic and because of life. It'll help them in all areas of their lives. So that's what we're kind of heading into this late August and September. And we'll continue to do that going forward. So if you have anything, again, workplace or school related, or as a parent yourselves, and we'll try to get into other groups, but I've noticed that other organizations are attending to some of the other groups like JPRO. So we don't need to provide workshops if they're getting their needs met in other ways. That's the workshop area. I don't know, Brian, if you want a quick update on the needs that we're seeing in the community. But.
Yeah, will you talk for a minute or two about what you're seeing, if there are any changes or anything?
Yeah, July saw a huge increase in the number of financial assistance requests. So it's great that it's either that people are finding their way to JFS now, hearing about the Federation funds and knowing how to access them. But we also know that situations are changing for people, right? Job loss, they could incur it, their savings could handle it for a couple of months, and now they don't have the money, or unemployment benefits are less, or they were receiving, again, increased SNAP food benefits. So there are all kinds of things going on. Somebody who came out of the hospital recently, recovering from COVID, had some long-term, or I shouldn't say long-term, some short-term medical needs that they couldn't afford. So people are coming for a whole bunch of different reasons now, and it's growing, and we expect it to continue to grow. And the pantry, as expected, the numbers are starting to increase again, right immediately, the week after the benefits ended on July 31st. And we are starting to get more requests from older adults for food deliveries. So I'm not sure how that happened, but well, I shouldn't say that. We've been doing more outreach. So that's a part of it. And now they're feeling a little more in need of that. So that's the story, but I'm sure you're all seeing that too.
Yeah, any either questions or comments from Miriam, or questions, comments, or thoughts that you guys are seeing in those same kind of areas that you want to share or talk about with the group?
Well, Miriam, in regard to the food program, you just said that you're getting a lot more requests from older adults for food. So we have, just so you know, at Covenant Place, if there is anybody that has food, we do have a pickup service. So they'd have to be able to have transportation where they can come here, and we provide the meals through Aging Ahead for a $5 suggested donation. If you're seeing more homebound people, that would be the JCC with the Meals on Wheels program.
And actually, Jan, thank you. Thanks a lot. We talked a couple of weeks ago about putting together a community resource page or information about all the food resources. And I wanted to let Mindy talk for a second about that because we have it.
Perfect timing. That was a perfect segue. So as all of you might recall, the Federation Board approved putting money aside from the COVID funds to help all Jewish organizations who are providing food or meals to Jewish households who are in need due to COVID. So we put together a resource, which I'm going to share on the screen right now so you can all see. Can everybody see this? So really this is everything in one place, but we also know that these are constantly changing. We'll make sure this is updated on our website, and we can also share this attachment when we send the follow-up for this meeting to make sure that you are all aware so that you can get this information out to your constituents, out to your members, out to your clients. A little,
Wendy? Scroll.
Sure, yeah, I'll go through it. But I want to make sure that this gets out into the community. And I also want to make sure that each of you are aware that if you are providing food at a reduced, subsidized, or no cost, to Jewish families in need, please make sure you reach out to Emily Bornstein. We do have funds to reimburse you for those. So as you can see, there are, in terms of prepared meals, at B'nai Amunah, B'nai Appetit, which is curbside pickup. Covenant Place, which Jen just mentioned, is also curbside pickup. Crown Center has 2 options. The kosher dining meal, which is delivery and curbside, as well as the Circle of Crown curbside. There's also the J's 613 catering, which is primarily curbside, but they can do home delivery in specific cases. And United Hebrew has catering also that also is curbside and some home delivery when necessary. In addition, we have listed contact information for food pantries, both the Harvey Kornblum Jewish Food Pantry, which Miriam mentioned, and Tomchei Shabbos. There's also the St. Louis Area Food Bank and Operation Food Search. In addition, a new program that it sounds like has been really impactful in St. Louis is the Farmers to Family Produce and Dairy Program. I just heard that this may actually be the last week. I think it's on a week-to-week basis, but I also understand they've been serving about 700 families each week. So we will continue to update this, but I wanted to make sure that everybody saw it, had everything in one place. If there's something missing that you're aware of or that you are providing to the whole community, please let us know and we can add to this.
And it's come up obviously in the chat. We will include this in the follow-up, right? We do a daily follow-up with a copy of the recording. This will be included as a PDF. I don't remember if it's on our website, Rick or Mindy, where people can just link to it as well.
This is an updated one, so we'll need to update the website and then we can send that link also. But again,
you guys will have the PDF by the end of the day.
And again, just dual purposes. One, so you can get this information out so anyone can access it, but also if you're providing these meals, that you come to us so that we can reimburse, so that we really can make sure that there are no Jewish families, no Jewish individuals going hungry during this time.
Can I add something, Brian?
Please.
What Kathy and I were talking yesterday, I'm not sure everybody realizes that just like the seniors collaborative that is happening, there's nobody that comes to our pantry that isn't getting food from at least one other place, if not 5 other places, to have enough food for the month. So we nor Covenant Place or Crown or anyone who's providing food or B'nai Amunah are their only source of food. And it's amazing that that's what we have to do, is work collectively so that everybody has what they need, because it takes more than one place because of our limitations or their needs, right? Some people need some prepared foods, but they also need an apple in the refrigerator for when they need a snack. And so all together we can, that was very inspiring actually to see that list. That's kind of all I'm saying, but we should all be aware that it requires all that. Every one of our 15,000 non-Jewish people and Jewish person gets food from multiple sources to make it through the month. So thank you.
Really good point about our ecosystem and how we support one another and the community. Other questions or thoughts, suggestions? This is clearly a really, Nikki, hold on. This is clearly a really important piece of responding to the community's needs, given what's going on. And as Mindy said, is constantly changing. So please reach out and let us know about other opportunities or things that you hear about that aren't on here so that we can continue to update and get information out to everyone. Yeah, Nikki.
Just to add that I think that an important component too of when we're delivering the meals is then being a contact and being another set of eyes and being able to make referrals and to know about other needs that are out there. So it's, another purpose in addition to the food itself.
Right. I think one of the things that we're all recognizing, if we didn't already recognize it, is that anybody who comes to any of us for a service probably has additional needs, and finding an appropriate and good way to ask the question and then know what's going on and connect people so that we're servicing them holistically and not just, a single symptom is really important. Joan, I see you're on here too. Anything that you wanted to add at all? Don't have to, well, you're muted.
Yeah, no, I've been here. I just had to be handling something else at the same time. So No, this is really good. Thank you for putting that together.
Okay. Anybody else? Any thoughts, feedback, questions about this kind of stuff? Okay, so I'm gonna, I know David's on the phone now and is driving, so I'm gonna jump to him, Mindy, before we move forward with the other piece. If he's on, David, you here?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, actually, you sound really great. Better than normal. No, yeah, give us an update on what is or is not going on.
Right. So what is going on is there is utter chaos in DC right now, which is holding everything up. You know, everybody knows the president tried to do his unilateral deal, and that didn't do very well. Now the entire deal is being hung up on two basic issues. One is the post office, and this is mail-in voting, and the Democrats are insisting on 25 to 35 billion for the postal service so they can take in mail ballots. And then the second issue is aid to state and local governments. Although the last communication we had was that the Republicans, or the White House, that's who's doing the negotiating, offered 150 billion on state and local assistance, which would be equivalent to what was done in the COVID-3 package. And that would be roughly 2.4, 2.5 billion to Missouri. We would expect, even if they did that, for it to be an addition to maximum flexibility. I know several of you all are looking at the Missouri Department of Economic Development grants that are out there. Phase one is going to end here shortly. And Nikki, I got your email, and I apologize, I'm driving right now, but I'll check it out this afternoon. And then we'll have a phase two opportunity. We've done some digging on whether or not schools are eligible for that. It looks like in phase one, schools are specifically excluded, but we're trying to get some information on what phase two might look like. We might want to talk about, for phase two, providing some maybe JFED grant application that covers multiple organizations. Maybe we can sneak the schools under something like that. Just have to kind of think through it. I think we're all working in the dark on this state program, but we'll kind of see how this first round goes at this point. Legislature's in utter chaos. They're doing a special session on violent crime. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there that I'd certainly answer questions about. I'm not sure it's germane to this conversation. There is speculation if there's a deal done at the federal level. The Senate Republican caucus is on standby to come back. And so there's still some level of hope that this is going to happen the next week or two. The unemployment numbers that came out this morning were not particularly good to get a deal done, since they were lower than expected in terms of people applying for unemployment assistance. So that takes a little pressure off the feds. State revenues came back very strong in July with the tax reporting deadline. So that's giving state folks a little bit of breathing room in Missouri to think about releasing some of the dollars that were withheld. I would call what we're in right now a holding pattern, frankly. Obviously, schools are trying to figure out what they're doing. There's very little guidance coming from states on what schools should or should not do. So we're going to see a patchwork of how schools are going to reopen or not reopen. My gut is that most schools will end up being virtual. I think they will try and bring people back in person. I think they feel a political need to do that. And, clearly parents want that option. But I think the first one or two times schools have to close for cleaning and things like that, they're going to realize how difficult that prospect is and how disruptive it is to have those kids continuing to shift back and forth from in-person to Zoom or whatever mode they're going to use. So that's where we are right now. I'm happy to try and answer any questions y'all have. Apologize for the chaotic nature of the presentation. But I am driving through Indianapolis, and Indiana might be the one state that is a little more messed up than Missouri. So that's our deal.
Thanks, David. Anybody have any questions for David?
All right.
David, thank you. Drive safe.
Thanks. You bet.
And we'll talk soon.
You bet.
So Mindy, I know, so many of you were on and involved in the change management seminar that happened with Mindy Fredman, Nanette Fredman, your names are too similar in a couple different ways, last week. And there are a number of follow-up opportunities, which really are opportunities for you as organizations to take advantage of. And I wanted to have Mindy talk about those.
Thank you, Brian. So I also want to remind everyone, and for those who were not on this call last week, Nikki Weinstein did a presentation on our phase 2 needs assessment, really looking at the needs of our organizations, what we heard from all of you, and what those critical needs were. So if you didn't get a chance to hear that or see it, the needs assessment is online, and I'd encourage all of you to take a look at it. What we're talking about now is what are the next steps that have come out of that after we heard your needs, after we had this great change management session that so many of you participated in, started thinking about, okay, what can our organizations do to really think about and address these changes that we know are coming due to this pandemic. So I wanted to share some of the other opportunities and the tools that we as Federation want to offer to all of our community institutions to help plan during this time of uncertainty. So the first one with Nanette Fredman, not me, is real-time coaching. So this is really, we stopped calling it one-on-one coaching because it's not one-on-one. This is using Nanette or her colleague to work with your organization, that you could have, you know, a number of people from your organization, and we're offering a free hour for every organization for coaching. It's an opportunity to think about changes impacting your work because of the pandemic and really how to manage those changes. You can address a current challenge, something that you want advice or insight on, or to hear best practices. So we have a sign-up sheet. It went in the email reminder about this meeting. We can also send it out in the follow-up. I see that Nikki just put it on the chat. We really encourage you to sign up for this hour. It's a way for you to pick an issue that you want to address and get some expertise on it. So we hope that you will all take advantage of this. There is a deadline, and we only have a certain number of slots available. So we really hope that people will take advantage of that.
Mindy, I just want to say on that one, guys, to everyone, Nanette is a consultant that we're working with, but these coaching opportunities for your organization to talk to someone who has extensive experience in organizational management, HR, all those kinds of things, these are confidential conversations between you and Nanette. She is not going to be sharing with us any specifics about what's going on. Now, if Nanette and her team talk with 20 organizations in the community and 10 of you have a similar issue, then that is something that they may bring back to us and say, you know, we know that we've got conversations that are going to be happening around these specific topics, but we found from our conversations that we probably need to add another one to the community's plate, and it's this. So again, these are confidential conversations between your organization and Nanette, but if there are bigger themes that come out of them, we will use that as an opportunity when appropriate to bring together various organizations to try and collectively come up with some answers.
Great, thank you, Brian. The next thing that I want to share, and again, we heard this repeatedly in many of our conversations with you, is around fundraising, concerns around fundraising. So there is a fundraising recalibration webinar series. This is Federation in collaboration with the United Way and the Missouri Foundation for Health. It's a series of 3 fundraising workshops, and there will be roundtable discussions focused on the topic following each presentation. So the first is actually today at 2 o'clock. I believe there are around 400 people signed up already. Nikki just put in the chat again, the link if you haven't signed up and you're interested. The session today is an overview of scenario planning for a changing landscape, and I'll talk more in detail about scenario planning. The next session is August 27th, which is about smart development planning. And then the third session is September 10th on improving donor communications. So we welcome you all, encourage you all, if that resonates with you, please sign up. It is not just for the Jewish community, this is for the entire St. Louis nonprofit community.
Actually, the entire Missouri nonprofit community, and they are free.
Great, thank you. And then the last piece that I want to share is more in-depth scenario planning. This is something that we've been talking about a lot, that we've been hearing a lot. We know some of you are beginning to engage in this process, and we want to be able to be a resource for you in this process. So we are working with JF&A and a consultant to provide a series of in-depth hands-on planning workshops. There will be 5 sessions. We invite you to come with a team from your organization. You'll work on strategies for your organization, given various potential scenarios looking forward, the next 2 years. And this is really an opportunity to examine your values, vision, capabilities, and assets to make decisions around what your organization might be doing and how to do it given this constantly changing environment. And our hope is that you'll walk away with concrete, written down strategies for moving your organization forward. And like all of these, Federation does not have any predetermined outcomes. We want to be able to provide these tools to you, provide these resources so you are able to work with your organizations to move forward and plan for the future.
And I do know that some of you are probably sitting there thinking, I can barely get through today. How am I supposed to plan for the future? That is really is real and legitimate. At the same time, this is absolutely one of those cases where we have to say, what's the cost of not doing it? And I think that this is a really great opportunity to engage members of your board, right? Not every person on your board is an active participant all the time. This may be an opportunity to engage some of those people saying, we're thinking about participating in this. Would you like to, or would you be interested in being our representative? I think it's an opportunity for all of us to engage some of those people who may not be, if they're interested, and not take away resources from people who are already busy doing other stuff with us, but still get some really important and valuable information. So I just throw that out there as a way maybe of thinking about how we can use what we have, not overextend people who are overextended, but recognizing how really important it is, how critical it is. If you are prepared for a possibility before it happens, you're already halfway to the point of being able to address it. And that's really what this is about, is taking the most likely scenarios in the world, given what's going on, and doing the thought work to say, well, if it goes this direction, this is what we would need to consider, this is what we would need to change, this is what we would need to look at, and you'd have those plans kind of already started to be lined up. So it's a really important exercise and can be really, really beneficial for the long-term viability of organizations. I know I jumped in a lot. Mindy, did you want to add anything at the end, and are there any questions?
If there are any questions, we're happy to answer them. If you think about it, have more, contact Nikki, contact me. We will continue to share this information. It's a lot of information. As Brian said, we know you have a lot going on. We know you are dealing with a lot now. We want to be here to support you in planning for the future. So we hope that you will consider participating in these. We know they will be very valuable, and we'll continue to share this information with all of you. Any questions?
All right, I don't have anything else specifically. Anybody have anything they want to share, discuss, or bring up?
I'm looking in the chat. In case no one saw in the chat, Rick has posted the Feeding St. Louis Community PDF on the Federation's webpage. The link is there. Make sure everybody sees that. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you all again for participating and for your time and your commitment to the community and working together and constantly keeping us up to date on what's going on so that we can get that out to the greater community. And if you need anything, always feel free to reach out to me or Brian or Mindy or Nikki or anybody on the team, and I will hopefully see you all next week.